Good morning, everyone. I would like to go ahead and call to order today's Monday, December 6th, 2021 meeting of the Michigan City Board of Public Works and Safety. Myself, Mayor Perry, and Ms. Keating are all in attendance. We do have a quorum. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody will please stand. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Thank you. Next up on the agenda is the approval of minutes. We had two meetings that we will be approving. The regular hybrid Zoom meeting of November 15th, 2021, and also the special hybrid Zoom meeting of November 19th, 2021.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of November 15th, 2021, and a special meeting minutes for November 19th, 2021.
And I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Move on to the next item on the agenda. We have a safety concern. Dave Hack, 1013 Gardena Street, is requesting to have the CSX crossing on Tilden Avenue open because of safety concerns with the large amount of traffic on Gardena and Jackson Streets. Do not see Mr. Hack in attendance here. Caleb, is he potentially online? He is not. Okay. This is obviously an item that has had plenty of input brought to it. Captain, would you potentially be able to come up and I know that you've been involved in discussions regarding this situation. Can you kind of give us an update on where we stand?
Yes, good morning, Captain Jeff Lineski, Traffic Division. Last week, we went out to the location and met with Mr. Wright, the city engineer, and Sheldon Smith from the street department. We looked at the crossing again. We discussed the complaints that we're receiving. We came up with maybe 2 or 3 suggestions on maybe how we might want to solve this. First of all, when we looked at the tracks, as the mayor explained at the last meeting, the tracks have sank, and so they're lower than the surrounding pavement. So it appears, just based on my conversation with Mr. Wright, that it would be possible to maybe mill the asphalt approaches to both sides of the crossing. At least that would get us through the winter if we could lower that asphalt so it was level with the tracks, make a smoother crossing, we could reopen it. But of course, that requires cooperation from the railroad, which I think we're having trouble getting. The second option would be installing water-filled jersey barriers to prevent traffic from sneaking around the barricades, because we had a situation, I believe 2 weeks ago, where someone destroyed several of the barricades. It appears it was intentional. Our third option would be to reopen the crossing and install speed bumps on both sides to slow the traffic down before they hit the railroad crossing. When the board originally decided to close the crossing several weeks ago, it was due to concerns that somebody might hit those crossings too fast and lose control or damage their vehicle. Our thinking is that if we slow the traffic down before they come to the crossing, it'll make it less likely that they'll lose control or damage their vehicle. Right now, we have obviously the signs that we installed that say rough crossing and a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, but people just are ignoring those, or were ignoring those when the tracks were open. So our thought that a speed bump would be more difficult to ignore. The first couple of times you hit the speed bump, you're going to learn to slow down. And second of all, you're going to see those speed bumps more easily than the signs that are off to the side. So those were the 3 options we came up with. I guess it'd be up to the board to decide how they want to proceed. I know the mayor said that he had discussed the milling of the asphalt with the railroad, and they didn't seem too receptive.
Did not seem too receptive to that idea?
Yes.
Did not. Okay.
No, sir. It's awfully hard to come to an agreement with any of the railroads.
Understood. One question while you're at the microphone, Captain Lineski. How many times have the barriers been removed from that crossing?
To my knowledge, just once.
Just once?
Yes.
And during that time, there was actual physical damage to the items that were?
Yes, and it's my understanding that the city actually purchased new barricades just for that location. They were at a considerable cost. So,
All right, very good.
but as Mr. Hack stated in his letter, it'd be our preference that we try to get that crossing open as soon as possible and not wait till April, that we need to find a solution to get that open as soon as possible to divert this traffic back away from the neighborhoods and back onto that main route.
Right. Okay. And I know that through driving through there, as of right now, the detour is to go to Franklin Street. It is not to go down Gardena to Jackson, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Keating, I see you have a question.
Well, I have a couple questions. First of all, as far as the speed bumps go, as my memory serves, our street department has been unhappy with using those and had a lot of concerns regarding plows hitting them.
Yes, that's always been our suggestion when people come to the board and want speed bumps. We've always recommended I'll of that request. However, this is kind of a unique situation where I think the benefit outweighs the problems that those would create. If we can get that street open by installing them, I think would be a benefit to the whole city.
Okay, I have another question. How much different is it? How much more benefit is there to change from what is existing now to any one of your three suggestions? I mean, can you prioritize? Can you say the existing arrangement is only 50% good and the other ones are 75%? Please tell me that. Why change?
Again, it's not just Mr. Hack that's complaining about all the traffic in his neighborhood. We're getting complaints from Superior Streets, Gardena, Jackson, all the surrounding streets that people are using as detour routes, because even though we just had detour signs installed, I think at Cool Spring and Tilden last week, people are still ignoring them. The local public that travels those routes every day know that there's a shorter way. Rather than going Cool Spring to Franklin, they can cut up Gardena or Superior or Harrison or one of those streets to get around the detour.
So in other words, your suggestions are based on citizens' complaints, not on what the board sees as a safety issue.
Correct.
Mayor?
Well, Mr. President, I'm quite concerned over this. I consider this a very dangerous situation that time is of the essence into address. The tracks are very dangerous. Something needs to be done to either close it or slow the traffic down going over. I remember my family years ago that died in a vehicle accident because they went over a track in Michigan City that was in bad shape and broke a tie rod in their vehicle and crashed into the crossing. So I'm going to make my other concern is when I say time is of the essence, is while we're trying to get the railroad to do something, which is very difficult to do, they're very remote. They don't concern themselves with local situations. If we have a child hit on Gardena or somewhere else in that neighborhood because of the volume of traffic driving faster than they should, causes a fatality, we have to live with that. I'm going to make a suggestion that we remove the crossing barrier and go with the speed bumps, situate them close enough to the tracks to where we can our crews can still plow the snow on the tracks in the immediate vicinity of tracks. I think will be taken care of by the freight trains going through the intersections. So that would be my motion that we install speed bumps there.
Can I just ask that before you make a motion, we allow a little bit more discussion?
Sure,
on that real
absolutely,
quick?
absolutely.
Okay,
I'll table my motion.
okay, thank you. Ms. Keating, do you have anything before I kind of
Well,
ask a
there's
few more
Board of Public
questions?
Works and safety is my concern, and I would suggest that we stay with the existing arrangement.
Okay. Actually, Captain, if you could stay there just in case we have any further motions. Jeff, would you be able to shed any input or opinion regarding this situation?
Excuse me, Jeff Wright, city engineer. Geez. The safest thing to do is to leave them closed. Just leave it closed. And until something is done to fix the problem, I would recommend that it just stays closed. I've never been of the opinion that putting more bumps in the street is a remedy to addressing bumps that are there. Just asking the traffic to negotiate more bumps. On the other hand, it is kind of an oddball situation where speed bumps may be appropriate. But my gut would be the safest thing to do is to have the public negotiate safe routes and keep the traffic or keep the crossings closed until such time as we're happy that they're either been milled enough smooth. And if we by chance can get them milled smooth, and maybe we get them milled and they're not really that smooth, it could be opened up with the addition of speed bumps. So that would be my recommendation. Keep it closed until we actually do something to fix the problem. And if we try to fix the problem and it's kind of close, maybe we add the speed bumps and open it back up. That's where I'm at. Okay.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your input and I appreciate your opinion. I just want to throw my 2 cents in on this situation. I've obviously been, I've put in a lot of effort into taking the time to go and drive around that area and observe what has been going on down there. Mr. Hack is someone that I am an acquaintance of, a friend of, and he actually works for the school's transportation department, so that's why he likely wouldn't be able to make the meeting here. I think that this particular situation has kind of opened my eyes to some situations that have existed that are independent of the crossing at Tilden. Gardena, it really is kind of like the wild, wild west. I've heard on many occasions just concerns of speeding, disregarding stop signs along Gardena. Hollywood Street was mentioned on there. And again, I don't know that this is completely local traffic that is disregarding the stop signs and not observing posted speed limits, but I can understand that with the increased traffic that there are safety concerns. The last thing that I want to see is a child going over to Gardena Playground, being hit by a car and killed. I mean, those are situations that we don't want to see. I want to kind of put out there that the initial suggestion that we would close the Tilden Avenue crossing did not start with Mayor Perry. It started with Ms. Keating, and I agree with her assessment of the situation. During a Board of Works meeting, the crossing was referred to as an imminent danger. And we as a board have to think about things like liability. We have to think about things like keeping people safe. And that is our job as a board. honestly, the most concerning and disturbing thing to me over the past couple weeks is the fact that we've had individuals, again, we don't know who they are. We don't know that they're necessarily citizens. We don't know who it is. And quite frankly, at this point, I don't care who it is. But we made a decision, a conscious decision, to close that crossing for the safety and welfare of the community as a whole, and also to protect the city. We cannot have a situation where people do not like a decision that has been made by a municipal board and take it upon themselves to not only remove the crossing, but damage city property in doing so. As a parent, you kind of learn a strategy where you do not reward a negative behavior with a positive or desired outcome. We didn't close the Tilden crossing to punish anybody. We are sensitive to the fact that the Tilden Ave crossing is a very busy crossing that many people utilize to go about their days on a regular basis. If it were up to us, we would have had CSX fix this crossing so that it was business as usual. In the absence of action on the part of CSX, we took the next step in doing what we felt is keeping the community safe. I would really like to be able to see, and Captain Lineski, we did have the ability to put some increased enforcement along Gardena over the last couple of weeks, correct?
Yes, last week we moved our digital radar trailer out there on Gardena. I've also spoke with Mr. Hack before this meeting, and he stated that he did, in fact, he has seen an increase in police presence out there. However, again, this is the police department's busy time of the year with robberies, with all the business districts targeted during the holiday season. So we just don't have a lot of manpower, especially considering that we're short on manpower to begin with. So.
Right. Thank you. I guess basically what this comes down to for me is I would like to be able to trust that everybody would take the proper precautions to make sure that they safely go through the crossing. But I would also like to think that we would be able to expect and have people obey posted speed limits and stop signs, which they are not on Gardena. Again, I have hated seeing the terminology of punishment, the city punishing its residents by closing the Tilden Ave crossing. This is not meant to be a punishment. This is meant to try and keep people as safe as we can and the city as free of liability. God forbid, should something happen, either on Gardena or at the Tilden Ave crossing. I'm going to go ahead and Mayor Perry or Ms. Keating, do either of you have anything you'd like to say at this moment?
Yeah, I do, Mr. President. I have a world of respect for my colleagues on the board. That goes without saying. I disagree with you that this is not, I don't think this has been construed at all by the public as a punishment. It's been construed as an irritating inconvenience. And that's what the unknown is here, is what the public is going to do. What happened to me the other day was I was coming into work early and I was going eastbound on Gardena with the intention of going over to the, because I wanted to go someplace on my way to work, over to the Jackson Street tracks crossing. And as I crossed Tilden, I looked to the left and I saw a car proceeding toward the tracks. So I thought, nobody else around, I'm just going to sit here and watch what he does or she. And I sat there and I watched that person stop at the tracks, back up, and then they went over and they were trying to figure out a way to get around the barricade and across the tracks. And they fiddled around doing that for a good 30 seconds. And then they finally realized that it wasn't going to work. They're probably going to get hung up on the tracks and then really get into some trouble. So they backed up and they finally went down Harrison over to Franklin Street. But to me, I remember years ago when we had the little girl, 5-year-old girl that got killed by the water tower. And I believe it was because someone was taking a shortcut from, in my own opinion, from Risky over to Carroll, because Risky tracks were stopped with a freight train assembly or whatever. And the public that I'm a part of is the biggest unknown here. And you just, people get upset for the strangest reasons. When they get upset, a lot of times they do things that are irrational because they are upset. And I think we need to make that a factor in our thinking right here. I don't know what our liability would be if we contracted Reith Riley to go in there. They have the equipment to scarf enough of that asphalt off to lower it down to the level of the tracks. I'm not concerned anymore that CSX said that would open that entryway up and expose it to the weather. It would decompose a lot faster. I'm not worried about that now, but we've got to think of ancillary or peripheral damage that could occur somewhere along the line because people are racing down Gardena Street to make up time to get to either Franklin Street or Jackson Street. So I don't know. At this stage, I have to stay with my motion.
Ms. Keating?
Well, like I said, it's a weighing, you've got to weigh the issues. You've got to weigh convenience and safety, okay? And I think safety outweighs convenience in every way, shape, and form in this matter. I would not oppose to water-filled barrels being put in place there if that's something that you think that would work.
We have
But-
it on order.
You have them on order. Yeah, I think that would be fine. I think that would be the only change that I would agree with.
Mr. President, if I may, I have a
Yes.
question for Mr. Captain Lineski. I don't like Chicago having their cameras at intersections, catching people going through the intersection. But is there an accessory that we could put on our speed limit indicators? They're nice, but they don't catch anybody. Is there anything that could be added to that would activate a camera that every time that radar read a speed limit that was over what that speed limit was, it would take a photograph right there where you could see vehicles that were exceeding the speed limit?
Yeah, I don't believe that's an option on the trailers that we have. I think they do make specific radar trailers with a camera built into it, but they're not an option on the models that we have.
Okay, because I think that's what we need is enforcement. And I'm not looking at you. I'm not saying that we don't have enough police officers to be everywhere, to deal with people that get frustrated and do things that they shouldn't do. So I had to ask that question. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, I know that you have expressed an interest in making a motion to do the speed bumps. Is that the?
Yes, sir. I'm going to leave
motion?
that motion on the table. I
Okay.
feel I have no choice.
I personally cannot give it a second. Ms. Keating, do you have a desire to issue a second?
No, I do not.
And the motion dies, and I respect both of you.
Very good. I appreciate it. But at the same time, I do believe that a motion would be in order. I do believe that we need to make the water filled barrels, I believe, is a course of action that I would be in agreement with. Again, I need to stress to people, we don't want to make your lives difficult. We're not interested in having your lives made more difficult by the decision that we ultimately make as a board. But this is a safety issue. I've had people tell me the crossing isn't that bad. Here's the problem. If you're crossing that railroad crossing in a 2020 truck, your shocks are in good condition. You're able to deal with that a lot different, or a lot better than someone that is potentially driving a 1995 Ford Escort. Okay. We are not trying to inconvenience anybody. We're not trying to make lives more difficult. This is a safety issue, and Ms. Keating, would you like to make a motion at this time?
Yes, I would make a motion to temporarily continue the existing arrangement with the forward-looking result being that we will be placing the water-filled barrels at that location.
Do I have a second? I will make the second for that motion. We'll bring it to a vote. Mayor Perry.
Nay.
Ms. Keating.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. And while we're on this, I do want to bring one more item to that. Again, this is something that is of concern to me. I believe it is Harrison Street is the part of the detour to the south, correct? That basically Harrison onto Franklin Street, then Franklin onto, I'm not sure what that street is by Dairy Queen. I would like to ask Captain and Jeff, the sight line turning off of Harrison Street onto Franklin Street, especially looking south, I'm really uncomfortable with it. I think it is a very, obviously people have been turning right off of there for a long time. If someone is parked in front of that liquor store right there on the northbound side of the street, it is very, very difficult to see. I see some concern right there. I was not comfortable making a right-hand turn off of Harrison right there. Would you potentially be able to take a look at that situation and see? Look, I don't want to take away parking from the liquor store, the businesses that are located right there, but can we see if there's anything that we might be able to do to make that situation a little bit safer?
Yes, that was one of our concerns, especially last week when we went out there and discussed the crossing itself. And at that time, I asked Mr. Smith from the street department to put some detour signs up at Cool Spring and Tilden so that we don't actually have traffic coming up Tilden and making that left-hand turn on Harrison, so that we're directing all of the traffic out to a traffic signal at Cool Spring, Franklin.
Gotcha.
So the detour that we have set up is directing traffic out to intersections on Franklin Street that do have traffic signals, Cool Spring being the one, and Franklin and Arthur being the other.
Very good. All right. And while you're at the microphone real quick, Ms. Keating, you can go ahead.
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
you don't
I'll
have
finish.
anything?
When you're done, I'll.
Okay. Okay.
interject something here.
We've discussed the Gardena situation, and I completely understand we are down manpower. We don't have the ability of putting people on Gardena on a regular basis. What I would ask is that if there is the ability for increased enforcement in that area, especially for the next couple of weeks while people become acclimated to the continued closing of the crossing, I would like it. But basically, if we have situations, I believe you said if they're going twice the speed limit, they can be cited further, like reckless driving or something along that. We need to let people know that they have to take it upon themselves to be safe. If we're driving through stop signs and we're not observing posted speed limits, we have to let people know that that's not okay.
And despite our manpower shortage, we'll continue to put officers out there on a daily basis. It's just, we'll put them out there. If we have them out there a couple hours a day, there's going to be several hours a day when there's nobody there where people are going to speed. So,
right. I want to appeal to the public. We post speed limits and we put stop signs up for the overall good. I understand that people need to get to certain places. Certain routes are more convenient, but we cannot have people blowing through stop signs. We cannot have people blatantly disregarding posted speed limits. We can't have it. It's not part of being a good citizen. It is not looking out for your fellow residents in town. And it's an unfortunate situation. I want everybody to be clear that if we just could have gotten CSX to repair this crossing in a timely manner, and this isn't new. I've been on this board for officially 1 year, and this has been on the pending items list for, I believe, at least half of those months. And so, I mean, this is not something that we just decided, oh, we got to close that crossing. We did it. It is with the best intentions and the safety of our citizens in mind. And we're going to continue looking at this situation. Nobody wants to open that crossing more than I do, but I'm not going to do it at the expense of potentially within the next couple months having somebody be severely injured or even worse, killed. I don't want to do that. One of our goals as a board is to make sure that people do not get killed on Gardena, on Tilden, or on any other street in this community. So anyway, Captain, thank you very much. Jeff?
I think just for the record, the crossing itself is a hazardous condition. And then when we detoured traffic over by the liquor store or whatever, we detoured traffic onto a route that we were aware was another hazardous condition with the sight line. So it made perfect sense that the official detour is on safe streets down to Cold Spring. I thought that should at least be in the record.
Sure, I appreciate that, Jeff. Ms. Keating, did you have something further?
I just wanted to thank Jeff and Captain Wineski for the work they put in on this. We're all on the same page and we're all concerned about public safety. We started down this road way back, I think around May, and it was because of a complaint from the citizens that crossing was in bad shape. And so we've done things that we think should be done and we'll continue on as we can with the railroad.
Thank you. Mayor?
Wants to even get CSX to come out and look at it.
Right.
It's just unacceptable.
Right. And I want to clarify this. There are people in the community that believe that Mayor Perry wanted to close this crossing. None of us wanted to close the crossing, but it wasn't his initial suggestion to close the crossing. It was ours as a board that when people ask me what's the purpose of the Board of Works, I mean, we did what we're supposed to do right here. We do our best to keep our citizens safe. We have to make tough decisions. I don't expect everybody to like the decisions that we always have to make, but we make our decisions with the best intentions for all involved in mind. We're going to continue looking at this situation. I'd like to actually thank Mr. Hack for doing this in the manner that he did. He reached out, he got onto the agenda for the Board of Works to express his concern. And I told him, by doing that, it kind of triggers Captain Lineski to get involved. It triggers Jeff to get involved. And that's how we ultimately make things work. Our city government is better when individuals are involved and actively letting us know what's going on. Dave, you did things exactly the way that they should. Individuals that just took it upon themselves to remove the barrier and cause damage to city property, not helping issues. We're going to continue looking at this situation. And if we see an opportunity to be able to open these tracks sooner than later, we will do that as a board. Okay, we move on to the next item. Request for lane reconfiguration. Michael Vinson, 2402 Greenwood Avenue, is requesting approval for lane reconfiguration to create a center turning lane on Woodland Avenue between Barker Road and Cool Spring Avenue. Mr. Vinson, come on down. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Michael Vinson, 2402 Greenwood Ave. Just anticipating some traffic flow and possible safety issues along that stretch of road. With the businesses that's been there forever on the west side of the street, it's bad enough, but now we're adding some residentials on the east side. And along with Walnuts Road being there, the apartment complex down the way, I just see with traffic increasing, getting heavier, the need for at least a lane for someone to go while waiting for traffic to clear to turn left.
Okay. All right. Very good. Let me go ahead and bring Jeff up here. Jeff, have you had a chance to take a look at Woodland by any chance?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
It's Monday morning, man.
So, Woodland, there's a lot of accidents on Woodland. And I pulled the accident data and to look at it. And what I was noticing was, and I'm not in any way ready to make any kind of a recommendation. I just tell you what I found. And it was a lot of the accidents, they're not really related to the markings at all. It's not related to the markings or the striping of the pavement. Of all things, several loose animals. In town, several loose animals are out and about, apparently, on Woodland Avenue. A lot of them are following too close. A lot of them failure to yield. A couple of them they run off of the road. Didn't really say why, just run off of the road. There's a power pole that continuously gets hit by backing into it. A lot of them didn't see a stop sign, distracted driving. So there's a lot of things that are going on. And most of the accidents, they occur at the intersections. And so, like I said, I'm not prepared at this point to make any kind of a recommendation, but as far as the main lines themselves, there's not a lot of accident history there. So it wouldn't be like a pressing need to go out and restripe the road. So the next opportunity, I guess my suggestion at this point would be Woodland is on the schedule for something like 2027 to repave the road. And if the accident history would develop beyond loose animals following too close, failure to read, hitting power poles, then yeah, absolutely stripe a center, lane in there, but I guess not at this time.
Okay. All right. Mayor Perry and Ms. Keating, do either of you have any questions or comments regarding this particular item?
None really.
Okay. Basically, I kind of see this as a situation where we want to keep it on the radar. We can't necessarily just decide to add a third lane. I would ask that Jeff take this into advisement. I mean, I would be curious, do we know whether that stretch of road is wide enough that it would accommodate a third lane at this point if we were to go along that route?
So we're not prepared to make a recommendation
Right.
at this point. So
Yeah.
Well,
track it down if you really want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be one of those questions that ultimately, if you have some downtime, and kind of assess the situation and, I mean, see if that would even be a situation that would be feasible.
So given the time and the opportunity during a resurface project, I'm sure there's absolutely enough room in there, even if we had to put another foot or two on either side of the road to make that happen.
Okay. Mayor?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'll throw out something just for future to keep on our radar scope. When I first got in office as councilman in 2012, I was going through the archives and I found a study that was done, one of the 40-some that the cities had done over the years, in 1966 by a group called the Gardner Group out of Chicago. And some of it didn't work out. They projected that Michigan City was going to be 80,000 people by the year 1990, which didn't happen. But the other part is becoming true. They said they felt that with 80,000 people, that we would have more traffic than Franklin Street and our current routes could support. So they felt that to ease the north-south travel traffic on Franklin Street, both Ohio Street and Woodland Ave should be made 4-lane with a turn lane all the way from the south city limits, which at that time was about Highway 20, to the north end. And to help in the east-west directions, as we had 12 on the north and 20 on the south, that Greenwood should be expanded to 4 lanes with a turn lane. So just keep that on your radar scope, because we're not growing, but we are experiencing such a greater amount of traffic than we ever had before. So
Understood.
somebody saw it coming.
So traffic patterns are changing, and they'll change with the NICKY projects when they close, 11 or 12 of the crossings there. So there may be more complaints for crossings.
Very good. All right, thank you. So I believe at this time, Mr. Vince, I wanted to thank you for bringing us that suggestion, and we're going to keep it on the radar. But as far as the current time, would I be able to entertain a motion to not grant the addition of a center lane?
I'm sorry.
Should we? I mean, a request has been made to create a center turning lane. I believe that, would we like to just table this? Or if we table it, then we would have to leave it on the pending items list, and this is not an imminent thing. So I believe that we should actually make a motion and deny the request to add a center lane.
It's up to you. So if you table it, you could table it indefinitely. So it doesn't need to
And
always
that
come
leaves
back
it-
up on
and
your.
that leaves it on there, but we don't have to bring it up.
Correct,
So
and then
that would be the best course of action then?
It
I mean,
could
I'm
be,
just-
it really depends on if you want to just terminate the issue right now, but have Mr. Wright consider it in the future. You could leave it on indefinitely.
I'm just
and it needs
thinking
to come back.
he just said 2027 is the next major repaving for that particular area. And I just don't think that we need to have this on the unfinished business list. So are we able to just let it fall off?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. In that situation, we're going to go ahead and move on. Next item on the agenda is a request
So
for
are you-
street light. Okay.
What is the motion?
I'll make a motion that we table it, but part of the motion is that we do a traffic study on this. Because we have one of the subdivision that I think you were mentioning was Mr. Prince's subdivision, about 9 condos adjacent to Walnuts Road. So we do need to take a look at the traffic. Captain, I'm sorry, I know you're doggone busy right now, but just long-term, take a look at the traffic in that area and maybe we can make a projection that we could do something.
I would just like to add that several months ago, maybe even last year, I was contacted by Skylar York, the city planner. They were seeking our advice on before those condos or those duplexes were built at Wellness at Woodland. I provided a written opinion at that time suggesting that I didn't think it was a good idea to install all those private drives on that portion of Woodland Ave. Probably about 10 or 12 years ago, the city obtained a grant to address our most dangerous intersections in Michigan City. And at that time, Barker Road and Woodland Ave was one of our dangerous intersections. It was the scene of most of our accidents. With the help of the state, when we received that grant to reconfigure that whole intersection, our accident stats went way down. That intersection at Barker Road and Woodland is even on our radar now for the most dangerous intersections. So I would hate to see this increase in accidents with those private drives kind of negate the positives that were created when we received that grant. So my recommendation at that time was that we try to install a frontage road behind the new duplexes off of Wellness to prevent all that traffic backing out. I guess the compromise was that they required the builders of those duplexes to install an apron to allow people to back out into their own driveway and pull forward. So I guess we'll see how that works, see if there is an increase in accidents, because it's my understanding that there's more duplexes in the works to be built there.
Okay. So I suppose that the motion at this time would be to refer this to Mr. Wright and the police department to keep an eye on this situation and report back to us at the earliest convenience if there is an opportunity to add a center turn lane.
Mayor has a motion.
Mayor has a motion. on
Mayor
the
has a
table.
motion. Okay.
Mhm.
Would you like to second? No.
Are you done with your motion, Mayor?
To do a long-term traffic study. I'm not putting you on the spot to have something by next meeting. 6-month traffic study. Okay. Thank you.
All right, I'll second that.
Okay. We do have a motion and a second, Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. All right. Thank you, everybody, for helping me through that. Next on the agenda is a request for streetlight. Julianne Hill, 1025 Salem Street, is requesting additional street lighting for increased visibility for neighborhood safety concerns. Ms. Hill, good morning.
Morning.
Just go ahead and formality, state your name and address for me.
Okay, Julianne Hill, 1025 Salem Street, Michigan City.
Very good. And what brings you before us today?
Due to the safety concerns, we've had 2 shootouts in the last month. October 25th, there was a shooting between the shared driveway of 1021 and 2 passerby vehicles. November 21st, there was a shootout in between 2 vehicles. 1 bullet came from October 25th, shooting into my home, landing pretty close to me. So it's a very emotional issue. I have security cameras that caught everything, except there needs to be more lighting. The police department would have been able to identify more if there had been more lighting.
Okay, so basically you believe if there were some lighting added outside on that street that it would have allowed your cameras to have picked up some more detail that ultimately would have been proved useful to law enforcement. Okay. Thank you very much. If you could, maybe have a seat like right over there so that you're close and you don't have to come all the way up. Captain, have you had a chance to take a look at this situation?
Yes, I did. I spoke with Detective Corporal Kate Flisky about this case, and she did state that additional lighting would have been beneficial in the identification of the suspects in this incident. I guess the issue in this location is kind of unique. The utility lines run behind the homes, so there are no poles on the street itself. The only poles out there are for the existing streetlights, and there are 2 existing streetlights just south of this residence. So I would ask this matter be referred to myself and the city engineer to see if it would be possible to maybe move those lights that are already out there or install a new pole to install a new light on.
Okay. Mayor Perry or Ms. Keating, do either of you have any questions, comments, or concerns on this?
I'll make a motion to follow Captain Liniski's suggestion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Ms. Keating? I vote aye as well. All right, Ms. Hill, we'll hopefully hear back at the next meeting and we'll keep you abreast of the situation, okay? All right, thank you very much for coming in today. Next item on the agenda is a contract approval. Clarence Hulse, Economic Development Corporation of Michigan City, Indiana, is requesting approval of the contract between the City of Michigan City and the Michigan City Economic Development Corporation for professional, community, and economic development services commencing on January 1st, 2022, and not extending beyond December 31st, 2022 in the sum of $150,000. I do not see Mr. Hulse here. Mr. Hulse is online. Clarence, good morning.
Good morning, Board of Works, President and Chair. Commissioner, how are you today?
Doing wonderful. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Clarence Hulse, Director for the Michigan City EDC. We're requesting the contract with the city. This is our 25th year moving forward, working with the city of Michigan City. Contract has not really changed much in terms of what we do. We do a lot of things not in the contract, i.e. working to improve food deserts, looking to increase wages, childcare issues we have tried to address. But end of the day, the contract is about increasing jobs, recruiting jobs, and keeping the jobs in Michigan City, and working with the city to look at ways to annex land, improve land for commercial and industrial development. We are seeing some unprecedented development. Our pipeline is pretty full right now in terms of the next 3 or 4 years of bringing some large projects to Michigan City. So we are looking forward to working with the city to continue this long and productive relationship.
Very good, Clarence. Thank you very much. Mayor Perry, obviously, I know that you deal with Clarence on a regular basis. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns that you'd like to relay to the public?
I have no issue with Mr. Hulse's request at all. From my vantage point, our Economic Development Corporation is excelling. They're doing marvelous things. You don't see them right now, but in the next 7, 8 years, you're going to see them. Michigan City is really going to change dramatically in the positive direction.
Very good. Ms. Keating, anything?
Well, I agree with what Mayor has said. I think that we received great value from this entity, and I would suggest that we go ahead and approve this contract.
Okay. Amber, all the paperwork is in order?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Could I go ahead and entertain a motion for approval?
Make a motion to approve. the
Second.
contract.
Ladies first, the second. Mayor Perry,
Aye.
Ms. Keating,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Clarence, thank you very much, sir. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.
All right, next on the agenda is an agreement, an addendum to the lease agreements between the City of Michigan City, Indiana and LaPorte Chrysler Jeep Ram, lease of 10 police vehicles. I do not see Captain Corley or Chief Corley. Amber, what can you tell us about this?
So earlier this year, this board approved the lease of vehicles for the police department. After the approval of the lease, I learned that the police had already prepaid the 2 years. And had I known that, I would have made provisions in the agreement in the event there was a destruction of a vehicle or a premature termination. The dealer has been wonderful to deal with. We have this addendum that if there is a premature termination or destruction, that they will refund money to us on a prorated basis. So I believe this addendum is necessary. I would ask the board to make a motion to approve the same.
Very good, thank you. Mayor Perry, Ms. Keating, any questions, comments, concerns, or a motion?
I'm a bit confused on this, Mr. President, because I was kind of hoping our controller, Ms. Hoffmaster, would be here this morning because I was informed that this item is incorrect. It's not dealing with, and I'm further confused by what Ms. LePage Stallbreak has said. I was told this item was supposed to deal with the purchase of 10 vehicles that we have already leased. And now we're moving on to purchasing 10. So I don't know what to say beyond that.
So this is the existing lease that the board has already approved. When you lease a vehicle, one assumes that you pay monthly on the lease. So if the vehicle is destroyed or there is a premature termination, then you don't pay anymore. We have prepaid for the 2 years of the lease.
Oh,
So if there is an accident, we have prepaid. So if there's an accident today, we have prepaid for almost 2 years. We want our money back from that because there are already insurance provisions that would kick in, Mayor, allowing the insurance that then come in and cover the value of the vehicle.
to replace it.
Correct.
Okay,
So you have insurance that would cover the value, but how do we get our money back that we've already prepaid for?
I understand.
So that would be
Thank you.
why the addendum is needed.
Very good.
Thank you.
I think that was a good clarification. I think that cleared it up for both, hopefully for both Mayor and myself. Ms. Keating, anything?
No, I just make a motion to approve the addendum.
I support.
Okay, motion and a second. Mayor Perry,
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. All right, next item on the agenda is correspondence for informational purposes only. The clerk's office received correspondence on December 1st, 2021 from Chief Doug Legault, Michigan City Fire Department regarding firefighter Andre Glover and revised a resignation date of December 8th, 2021. Again, this was for informational purposes only. Next on the agenda is a policy change. Andrea Smith, Personnel Director, is requesting approval to update policy number 305, holidays in the policy and procedure manual. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Board. Andrea Smith, Director of Personnel. Requesting that we add Juneteenth to our current holidays and following the City Council's lead.
Okay, very good. That's the only addition that's being made is the addition of Juneteenth.
For the holidays, yes.
Right. Okay. Mayor Perry, Ms. Keating, do either of you have any opposition to that?
None here, sir.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mayor Perry,
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. All right, Andrew, don't go too far.
No, sir.
Next on the agenda is a policy change. Andrea Smith, Personnel Director, is requesting approval to add the COVID-19 specific protocol policy number 233 in the policy and procedure manual. Andrea, tell us a little bit more.
Good morning. Originally, we drafted policy 231, the communicable disease policy. However, it was not broad enough or thorough enough to cover COVID-19. Amber worked with our consultants, Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy, to develop this policy. Board members also, I believe, had a chance to review it. This is a thorough, comprehensive COVID-19 policy. However, please keep in mind this is such a fluid situation. You may see me up here again to revise this policy as well per CDC guidelines.
Right, very good. And Amber, I know that you've put in a lot of work on this one. And obviously, as Andrea just stated, it's a fluid situation. But as for right now, on December 6, 2021, You believe that everything within this policy should meet the needs of the city at this time?
At this time, yes.
Okay. All right, Mayor Perry or Ms. Keating, do either of you have any questions for Amber or Andrea?
No, sir. Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, Mayor Perry,
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Don't go too far again.
No.
Approval of job description. Andrea Smith, Personnel Director, is requesting approval of the new job description for Director of Animal Control. This position was added to the 2022 budget. Andrea?
Good morning again. The Director of Animal Control is a brand new position in the 2022 budget. I worked with Assistant Chief Ashley on developing this policy. We had several run-throughs and changes, and we believe we have a good, solid policy for the job description for the Director of Animal Control, who will supervise the 2 animal control officers that we currently have.
Very good. Mayor Perry and Ms. Keating, do either of you have any questions? I know that we received copies of the job description. Any concerns or questions?
No, sir, I have no concerns or questions, just a plea to the public that we are stretched to our limits as far as our animal control officers, our kennel capacity. I know these are difficult times with COVID. People are still not working, but please give it another thought before you abandon your pets. Most of the facilities in the area, Michiana Humane Society, our kennels, the LaPorte County Small Animal Shelter out there on Highway 2, they're at their limits. So please, it's getting cold. The weather doesn't really, well, it is dangerous now, but weather aside, please try to find it in your heart to keep your pets.
Ms. Keating, anything?
Make a motion to approve.
Very good. A motion
Support.
and a second. Mayor Perry,
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. All right, Andrea, last one. You ready?
I am ready.
Approval of job description. Andrea Smith, Personnel Director, is requesting approval of the updated job description for arborist, changing from forester to arborist.
Thank you again, Board. An important change from forester to arborist was arborists care for individual trees while forester manage population of trees. Our need is more for an arborist instead of a forester. Working on this job description, I worked with Mayor Perry along with Councilwoman Zegas in developing and moving the arborist from vector control to the mayor's office, which is an important piece of this. This job is so needed within the city of Michigan City. This is a great job description. Again, Mayor Perry went through it with a fine-tooth comb, made suggestions, absolutely fantastic suggestions, which we compiled into this, and along with Councilwoman Zegas. The 2 of them were great to work with, and we all collaborated together well, and I thank them.
Very good. Thank you. Mayor Perry, she just gave you quite a bit of
I
credit there
know
for
she
going
did.
through
Thank you very
it
much.
with a fine-tooth
And
comb.
Dahlia.
And Ms. Zegas also, you bet.
Yeah, can you do you have anything to add?
Well, I would like the public to know a little bit what's going on. This has been kicking around for some time because in administrations past designated that position as forester and went back and forth with the tree board for some time, which is very, very progressive and a fine group of people. They wanted a forester, so I conducted the search myself. And the difference between the 2 entities is exactly what Ms. Smith said. Foresters are not employed by municipalities, they're employed by corporations that harvest entire forest and replant for the future, like Weyerhaeuser or like Georgia Pacific. An arborist has an excellent knowledge of trees, which has surfaced just recently, which is very important to Michigan City. And when I say surfaced just recently, the next time you drive down Franklin Street, up is north, down is south, I get into that. But you'll notice how nice the city looks with our streetlights wrapped. We had to take the streetlights off the trees out of the trees because they were damaging the trees. Previous administrations didn't know that. We became aware of it and we had to take them off and they were too expensive. We didn't have time to put them back on. But we were also told that they were seriously damaging the trees. And what you've got now, I noticed the first time I looked at After Dark, I recall when the trees were all lit, that's all you saw, which was really beautiful. But you didn't even notice the gorgeous, very expensive streetlights that have been installed up and down Franklin Street. Now, the lighting of the streetlights, of the wrapping of the streetlights look very nice, but you also see the beautiful streetlight arrangement that we have in the downtown area. So I think we're moving forward. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Keating, anything?
No, I just moved to approve.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. All right, very good. Andrea, thank you. You did a
Thank you,
wonderful
board.
job.
Thank you for everything.
All right, next on the agenda is a resolution. Policy to encourage effective and efficient use of public comment and public input to assist the Board of Public Works and Safety. Amber, can I go ahead and defer over to you? I know that you've spent a lot of time putting this together and we thank you for that.
So the board had asked me to maybe put together some rules governing public comment, when it should be, how long it should be, because we really don't have any official rules directing public comment. So this puts together those rules with regard to public comment after each issue, unless it's, of course, an administrative hearing. Also public comment at the end of the meeting. Limiting public comment to mirror what the council does as to 3 minutes, directing public comments to the presiding officer, and really more importantly is keeping the public comments germane and within the purview of this board. I find too often people come and complain about issues that this board has no control over. And, really it would be an appropriate different board. So to give the president the right to maybe stop and just say, hey, listen, your comments are better directed at this board.
Very good. So in terms of the resolution, would we be best reading this entire resolution into the record at this point, or?
You don't have, it's up to you. You can make it available.
Ms. Keating, I'm going to
I
defer to
think
you.
we
Do you
need
think?
to make it available. I don't think it's necessary to read it into the record.
Okay, very good. Again, what Amber indicated, we will go ahead and we'll make it available. I believe we can post it on our webpage, correct? So if anybody would like to review this resolution, you're more than welcome to. I believe it would be appropriate to just basically hit on the specifics going forward for the Board of Public Works when we do have public comment, be it on a specific issue or during public comments at the end of the meeting. We will be instituting a 3-minute time limit. And also, again, we need to make sure that we keep our comments pertaining to Board of Works business. And I believe that's going to help us most efficiently do our duties as a Board of Public Works and Safety. So I believe at this time I would go ahead and entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
Make a motion to adopt.
Support.
Okay, a motion and a second. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Again, that resolution will be available on the eMichigan City webpage. All right, next on the agenda is a claims docket. December 6th, 2021, municipal claims, $1,415,437.19. Community Development Block Grant monies of $5,011.97. Health Life $521,993.28. Workers' comp, $5,439.71. And zoo casino endowment, $12,820.00 for a total claims of $1,960,702.15.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we approve the claims docket for December 6th in the amount of $1,960,702.15.
Second that motion.
Motion and second, Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Next, we have a payroll docket for November 19th, 2021, city payroll in the amount of $580,302.38.
Make a motion to pay the payroll docket for November 19th, 2021 in the amount of $580,302.38.
Second.
Motion and second, Mayor Perry.
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Another payroll docket, December 3rd, 2021, city payroll of $808,865.63.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve payment of the claims, the payroll docket for December 3rd, 2021 in the amount of $808,865.63.
Second the motion.
Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Last payroll docket, December 1st, 2021, city pension in the amount of $208,710.42.
Mr. President, I will make a motion to pay the payroll docket for city pension for December 1st, 2021 in the amount of $208,710.42.
Ms. Keating, would I be able to have a second? Okay, very good. No worries, no worries. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. All right, move on to the unfinished business pending items list. The one item that has December 6th next to it, we've already kind of touched on today, so I believe that we're good there. For those out there, it was addressing the CSX crossing at Tilden Ave. We have had more than our fair share of talk on that today, so we're going to go ahead and move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the public comment that, or anyone from the public that would like to make a statement? Jalen? Good morning, Tommy.
This is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. First and foremost, I'd like to pay tribute to somebody who I consider to be a true American patriot and hero, passed away yesterday, and that would be Senator Bob Dole of the state of Kansas. He's somebody I would have felt he would have made a great president of the United States. He was the nominee for the Republicans back in 1996. And secondly, I'd like also to recognize that today is the eve of Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, 1941, a day that will live in infamy. So we want to pay tribute to all World War II veterans, the ones that aren't, we got very few left, and the ones that have gone before us. So I'd like to request that Mayor Perry lowers the flag at half-staff in front of City Hall if it hasn't been done so already. I think our previous Board of Works President, Mr. Keith Harris, who just passed away just a little bit over a year ago on November 22nd, 2020. I think he would really appreciate that. Secondly, I got a couple of concerns I'd like to express as a citizen. This has to do, I know you've just assembled this 10-member board of a committee of basically a who's who of dignitaries of the city to oversee the ARP funding.
Tommy, Tommy, I do have to stop you there. That particular item is not something.
Well,
for the board of
I'd like to, this has to, about public safety, I basically want to ask to have a memorandum of understanding for the school, for the schools to reestablish the driver's education program. That was something that was cut about 10 years ago when Dr. Carl Iacona was the superintendent. So maybe we can make some kind of memorandum of understanding with the school board to reestablish that. And on the other thing, I was going to report this to the police. The Michigan City, we have a graffiti ordinance on the books that went on about 20 years ago. That was one of the crowning achievements I felt of Mayor Oberle's administration to get that on. The north wall at the former Riley's Bar, Sullivan's Bar at 11th and Franklin, and also the clothing donation box at the BP station across the street, which is the former Bill Green's Amoco. There's graffiti on it. One of the symbols on that they marked on the wall at the former bar building, it reads BK. That was the same symbol that was placed on the wall by the visitors gate at Ames Field back in August. I reported that, and it was removed the next day. I looked up what that symbol means. That's a gang symbol. It doesn't mean Burger King or big knuckleheads. I guess there's an active street gang that is referring to themselves as the Blood Killers. If there is a gang that's called, we need to put them out of business. So that's my public comment, and thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you. All right, do we have anybody else from the public that would like to address the board? Caleb, nobody else online? Nope. All right. Seeing no comment here or online, I will close public comment. Mayor Perry or Ms. Keating, do either of you have any board comment?
None other than one small one. The resolution that we looked at today for public comment, regarding public comment, that's very difficult. Each board and commission sets their own standards, and you have different entities that deal with different issues. The council conducts their public comment after each item. They deal with a lot different items than we do. Most of the public comment during our meeting is from people making petitions, so that works. In contrast to the Redevelopment Commission, who has always taken public comment right at the very beginning of the meeting before they address all the issues, which doesn't give the public a chance to comment. So in our defense, we're doing the best we can to include you in the business that we conduct. I just want you to understand that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Very good. Ms. Keating, anything?
I have nothing.
Nothing. I've said enough in this meeting. I hope everybody has a good 2 weeks, and we will see everybody on the 21st of December. All right. Everybody have a great morning. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Support.
Motion and a second. Mayor Perry?
Aye.
Ms. Keating?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Everybody have a great morning.